Good morning. You're watching Good Morning Sri Lanka on MTV Sports on a lovely Monday morning. The weather has definitely cleared out, and we are seeing much less rain these days. But then again, it's heating up. It's the 5th of November 2012, and what a way to start your morning. So let's take a look at some of the paper headlines and the stories that's been happening over the weekend in and around the country and also internationally as well. We're going to start off with some sports news. Now, good news for all you Sri Lankan cricket fans. Although it was a disappointing match in the sense that the full match wasn't really played off, Sri Lanka goes one up with a 14-run win on the Duckworth-Lewis method against New Zealand. Now, it was another disappointing end to a match that was heading for a close tussle as Sri Lanka took a 1-0 lead in the 5-match series against New Zealand. Now, on the screen you can see pictures of Lasith Malinga, who managed to dismiss one of the New Zealand batsmen there. And the scorecard was 250. That was New Zealand's total score for the loss of 6 wickets. But then again, in response to this, Sri Lanka made a quick 118 in a span of 22.5 overs, making them victorious with a 14-run win according to the Duckworth-Lewis method. But we'll hopefully let's hope that the next matches will be played in full and we can see some good cricket coming up your way. Talking about Sri Lanka and its sports, the rugby team, which was touring for the World Cup Sevens berth, unfortunately missed out on a spot for the World Cup qualifiers, but then managed to take the Asian plate back home. Sri Lanka win plate but lose out World Cup Sevens berth. We have a picture of the Japanese team who were victorious at this tournament. Sri Lanka, after losing to the Koreans in the Cup quarterfinals, went on to beat Malaysia in the plate semi-finals with a scoreline of 21-14 and China in the final by 26-5. But in the overall Cup Championship, Japan managed to, it was a very close game where they were 12-all at half-time, but managed to overtake Hong Kong in probably the second half, the latter part of the second half, and the final scoreline read 14-12. Now, Japan obviously has been in the forefront of Asian rugby, and they will secure a place in the World Cup Sevens tournament as well. And moving on, one of the Sri Lankan Carom players have been crowned as the World Carom Champion. Now, Nishantha Fernando, who is from Moratuwa, beat Bharat Dasan of India to crown himself as the World Carom Champion at the tournament held on Sunday. In the men's individual finals of the 6th World Carom Championship, Nishantha beat Bharat Dasan in straight sets with a 25-4 and 25-10 scorelines and managed to win the place of the world champion of Carom. So that's definitely good news for all of Sri Lankan sports as well. Now, taking a look at some of the international sports stories, obviously it's football on the news once again. A match on Saturday saw Manchester United on top with a win against Arsenal. Now, Manchester United have definitely improved their performance in the recent stages as well, with the inclusions of Robin van Persie, and he shone once again by being one of the contributors for the win against Arsenal. Robin van Persie piled on the misery for former club Arsenal as Manchester United went top of the Premier League with a 2-1 victory at Old Trafford on Saturday. The Dutch striker came into play less than 3 minutes to put United in front before Patrice Evra doubled their lead in the 67th minute. So that's a look at some of the football news as well. Moving on to the front page of the Daily Mirror, of course, we have the main story circulating in the country at the moment is the impeachment of the Chief Justice. Now, the Daily FT headlines this as the impeachment of CJ, an unconstitutional witch hunt. Now, in response to this, we have a few stories that have been developing over the weekend. The United National Party wants international observers to witness the proceedings. Now, the main opposition UMP stressed yesterday that international local legal experts should be allowed to observe the proceedings, and he also went on to say that the proceedings should be telecasted live for the general public as well. And also the Speaker is to convene a party leaders meeting today. Speaker Chamal Rajapaksa has called for a special party leaders meeting today to discuss the appointment of a parliamentary select committee to examine charges against the Chief Justice. So those are some of the stories that's been developing on this topic, and a lot of analysts are concerned that this is in direct violation of the Constitution, where the judiciary has been intervened by the executive as well. But then again, moving forward, we have yet another sad story. The Kahawatha, the murders that were, came into the news, has a different turn of events, where the police officer who was investigating the murder had been taken off the job. Now, this has been a very bad precedent that we've seen across for many of the investigations across Sri Lanka as well. And the Kahawatha women have staged a protest against this move. Against the backdrop of a series of killings of women in the area, hundreds of people led by women activists took to the street of Kahawatha on Saturday. And the main concern was that the police officer who was in charge of the whole investigation had suddenly been transferred probably, and what they're calling for is for him to be reinstated and for the investigation to go on as planned. So now with that, we will take a short commercial break, but when we are back, we're going to talk about a very interesting organization, something that's been coming to the forefront, and one of their events that will probably be very beneficial to the organization as well as for the general public as well. So keep watching Good Morning Sri Lanka. Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Sri Lanka on MTV Sports. Now, just before the commercial break, we were taking a look at some of the stories that's been happening over the weekend. And as we mentioned earlier, we have a few guests in the studio talking about an event that's coming up tomorrow. Now, to my immediate left, we have Mrs. Padmini Samasinghe. Very good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, and before we get on to the other guests, let's just ask her what exactly, now this event rather is organized by two distinguished organizations. One is the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, that's SLIM known in short, and also the Toastmasters Club. If you'd just like to mention a bit about the Toastmasters Club.
The Toastmasters Club itself is at the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing. We have clubs, corporate clubs all over Sri Lanka, and as you know, it's an internationally known, well-known organization with regard to speaking ability. People who really cannot speak have blossomed, and the talent has come out on many occasions, and we've been shocked really at the talent that is latent in them, which seems to be coming out when they are quite okay and not feeling scared about speaking.
And that's probably one of the key skills that you need to develop as a marketing personnel. Now let's move on to our other guest in the studio. We have Mr. Sanath Senanayake, who is the CEO of SLIM. Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
And also next to him we have Mr. Thilan Wijayasekara, who is the president of SLIM, and also Mr. Dulip Wijayatilaka, who is the project chairman of Speech Idol, and also Ms. Mihirini Fonseca, who is the president of SLIM Toastmasters Club. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Right. So let's just talk a bit about SLIM Toastmasters and also Speech Idol, and how these two really connect. So if Thilan, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, sure. Well, Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, SLIM, is the national body of marketing in Sri Lanka, and our mandate is to uplift the marketing fraternity and thereby add value to the economy and the nation. So we represent every marketer in the country, and we have a number of objectives to achieve in any given year: to proliferate the knowledge of marketing, to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of marketers, recognize and motivate marketers, and so on and so forth. But I think this particular venture or project that we're doing is to really look at uplifting the standard of marketing and adding value to marketers. We believe that one of the most important traits for a marketer to have is to have their communication skills. If you can't communicate, how do you convince others? We talk about branding, we talk about building brands. You need to communicate around those brands. But first of all, you need to communicate about yourself and position yourself. So we believe at Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing that developing communication communication skills in marketers is a very important facet of ours. And that's why I think we've organized Slim Speech Idol Season 1, as we call it, for the first time to add value to marketers and to improve their communication abilities.
Now this is also an event that is open to people who are not Toastmasters. So I guess it's probably one where they can showcase their talents and maybe in the future probably develop them as well. Now Mr. Sanath, if you'd just like to talk about how you deal with all the stakeholders involved in this, and how this is going to appeal to your staff, your students and everyone in SLIM basically.
Certainly we need to day in day out deal with our stakeholders. They are in many numbers as well as diverse group as well, and we need to also work with the fraternity, marketing fraternity. Now how we deal with it is actually we have several divisions, departments in SLIM, interacting with different segments of this market. For example, we have membership division which is looking after the interest of the members, and we have a business development division, we have events divisions. We are actually known for some national level events at SLIM. There's one coming up on the 22nd FE award ceremony. So there are different stakeholders. Now for our we are fortunate this time. Our Toastmasters, SLIM Toastmasters, is headed by one of our own. Actually, she's the head of business development, and she's the president this time. And we have first time a lady president at SLIM Toastmasters.
Right.
So we come to interaction with these stakeholders in many, including even our competition, and then of course there are different divisions, like I said, which deals with these stakeholders on a regular basis.
Right. And also talking about Speech Idol, and as we mentioned earlier, this motive to open it out to non-Toastmasters as well. Now Mr. Dulip, I understand that you're the project chairperson.
Yes.
Before, you can also mention a bit about the challenges that you faced in organizing this event. I'd also like you to touch upon why you all actually thought of opening this out to non-Toastmasters as well.
Yeah, the question itself is challenging for me, to be really honest. When you run a project, you need to ensure that all the stakeholders are properly balanced.
Right.
Now in this case, in my opinion, our stakeholders, stakeholders would be the sponsors, and then the contestants, and the general public, and then the committee.
Right.
So I need to ensure that they believe in what we do, especially the sponsors. When you do an event for the first time, a national event, we don't have anything for them to be seen. So it was quite tough for us to convince the sponsors, first of all, to get their finances. That was the main constraint that we had. And then on the other hand, I am blessed with a group of people who are talented, committed and honest, who really drive this project right throughout, and tomorrow is going to be the grand finale, where the general public can definitely witness the success of it. And then the general public who actually does not know what public speaking is, because unless you are a Toastmaster or a person who is involved in public speaking, you may not know about it and the value of it. So tomorrow is the day for the people to know how public speaking can help people, individuals, in developing their own professions, maybe wherever they go, wherever they communicate, how public speaking helps them. So in terms of challenges, I would say doing this for the first time in Sri Lanka, it's quite challenging. But I'm sure the success of this program would be the platform for the future contest as well.
Yeah, and Speech Idol is the first of its kind directed only or focusing more on the marketing fraternity. And moving on to the First Lady, President of the Toastmasters Club of SLIM, Meirini, if you just like to mention how many, the structure of the Toastmaster Club in SLIM, how many members you all have at present, and also, your objectives and your plans in actually organizing an event such as this.
Yeah, well, we have about 30 to 35 members, and